Cahill, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Ryan. The intensity is always, through the roof in a game like this, especially this game. It might be even more intense this year. How much have you talked to your guys about keeping their composure, kind of not being that second guy that gets caught doing something?
Yeah, I think that's important. You have to play with emotion. You can't let emotion play with you. I think that's important. You have to have your emotions in check, which isn't easy in a game like this because, as we all know, how the magnitude of it all. But it's something that we identified in the off season. So, and we'll talk about this week.
Bill Landis, the podcast.
Ryan, the way your run game has evolved this year just looks much better now over the last month than it did earlier. What was the process like of kind of landing on the things that work best for you, and just generally how do you feel about where you're at right now?
Yeah, gonna keep getting tested, but I feel like we've made some progress in different areas. I think certainly Trey coming back has made a big impact on that, but everybody is involved with it. And it's balance. But I think identifying each week what's worked for us and what hasn't, and fixing those things just over time, getting better. And I think the infusion of Trey has certainly helped.
Tony Girdman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, given some of the backstory with J.J. McCarthy and Kyle McCord and the recruitment that went on there, how do you keep Kyle from trying to prove you right in this game?
Well, I think there's a lot going on here, and I think what we've done all season is in preparation for this game, the way that we've prepared, the way we've evaluated each game, the way we've talked about each game, our focus in the offseason, our focus in the preseason, and our focus during the season. So, like I told the guys on Sunday, we've been preparing for this moment all year, and so now we just need to continue on the routines that we've been on, and be the best team we've been all season, but at the same time focusing on those things, and it'll be the same for Kyle.
Pat Murphy, 24/7 Sports.
Ryan, when do you think you really grasp the magnitude of this game? I know you can hear about it from the outside, and maybe even the first couple times you experience it, it's a big game. But when did you really understand what this game means to Ohio State?
I think every year you just learn more and more. I guess this will be my 6th time in the game, so you learn quickly when you're here, but each year you learn more, and it has more of a significant impact on you as a person, and I think all of our guys, when they come here, whether it's a coach or a player, they're here for one reason, to win that game. And so and I guess every year that you're here, you learn about that more and more. But my youngest daughter doesn't know any other place other than Ohio. So this world means the world to me and my family.
More on the McCarthy McCord thing, but when you guys are recruiting quarterbacks, you're looking at multiple people when you're evaluating that. When you're trying to decide who's in the hierarchy on the board and whatnot, are there certain things that you're looking for that maybe separate one guy from another guy?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's not just one thing, but there's a lot that you look at. Leadership, competitiveness, toughness. There's just so many things that you do. And the difficult thing now is starting recruiting at younger ages, and certain guys are being evaluated as freshmen and sophomores, and then you continue to evaluate. Then you have guys like Lincoln, who we evaluated his senior year. So, and then you try to compare the best you can. But there's not one thing other than competitiveness is one that for sure is high on the list.
I just wanted to follow up Kyle and JJ. What do you remember about recruiting JJ, and what was it about Kyle that ultimately led you to him?
There's all kinds of things that lead into recruiting, and JJ was always great. He was very respectful. He was a very competitive player, and got a lot of respect for him as a player and as a person. And during the recruiting cycle, you spend time with different people and different folks, and you learn about people. And again, all my interactions with he and his family were very classy.
Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Kind of go back to the concept of the intensity, and I know you've done a good job of avoiding all the other questions we've had about the way that this year's game has been changed. But how is that not personal for you and for the staff this year, and how have I guess you just personally try to put those feelings aside, whatever might be going on there, and focus on the task.
Yeah, because I think, not that it's easy, but the only thing that matters is this game, is this team, is preparing. The rest of it doesn't matter. So that's what we have to do. We have got to stay disciplined enough to focus on that. And it goes back to the conversation about emotion, letting, emotion of the game and everything get in the way. We can't do that. And every year you learn more and more about this game and the preparation for it. So we're not going to let any of that stuff get in our way in terms of distractions. We're just going to focus on this team, this season, and preparing the best we possibly can.
Austin Ward, podcast.
Ryan, this is a outside observation, so I don't know if you'll agree with it or not, but going into the game last year, you just seemed pretty uptight to me, and that was very different when you went into the Peach Bowl. I don't know if you've noticed a difference, if that's something you can control consciously, if that's just the pressure of the game. I don't know, but if the team takes the cue from you, is that something that's on your mind, and did you notice a difference for those two games a year ago?
I think every year you evaluate what's gone on, and you try to do the best you can to make sure that you fix the things that don't go well, and you enhance the things that do go well. I think there was a lot of things that went on, in the game, looking back on it, and so you learn from it and you move on.
Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, the fact that Kyle has played in a top 10 game at the time at Notre Dame and gone through the experience of a tight, competitive game against Big Ten, what experience did you learn about him from that moment, and how can that help him Saturday, obviously?
Yeah, anytime you have experience in a game like this, it makes a big difference, and it's something to go back upon, which is good. He's a very smart player who, understands situations, and when you've been in those type of situations before, you have something to grab onto and refer to, and you have a reference point. And I think that all helps in preparation.
Did you learn something or take away something from that, seeing him go through that?
Yeah, just watching him play and doing it and learning about the things that he excelled at.
Clay Hall, WSYX.
Seems like this rivalry was built on respect. Even in the 10-year war, at the heart of it, Woody and Bo respected each other. Because of what's happened, this investigation, it doesn't seem like that now. Does that sadden you, or does it energize you?
I think, I was taught that, the way you respect a rivalry is to work it every day. And whether it's in the, the weight room, whether it's, game planning, talking to your players, periods in practice in the during the spring, periods in practice in the preseason, and that's it. And so, we respect the rivalry, and certainly excited to play here on Saturday.
Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Ryan, you referred to your team as road warriors at points this year. Is there something special about this team going on the road more times than any team at Ohio State in a long time and getting it done, and to have this one be on the road? Is there something a little bit special about that? I know you guys love playing the shoe, but it seems like the road has been kind of friendly to you.
Well, yeah, and we have the schedule right over there, and I point to all those white blocks right there. The teams we knew we had to go on the road this season more than we had in the past, and certainly knew we had to go on the road for this one. So, like I said before, it's all in preparation for the last game of the year, and so it's been great to get tested, to get battle tested. So again, you talk about reference point. Our team does have a reference point. It'll be loud. It'll be hostile, great environment. But we've been in those before, and so again, a reference point going into the game is important.
Joe Nugent, WCMH.
How important is it to have success in the running game in this game, considering the way that this rivalry has played out over the last 2 decades?
It's extremely important. Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot of things that are important, but that's extremely high on the list.
Cameron Teague Robinson, The Athletic.
Michigan's obviously has a really good defense, especially in the red zone. What's it take to execute at an extremely high level against a defense like that in the red zone?
Well, first off, they haven't had very many snaps down there, so there's not a ton to go off of. But you gotta, every yard is worth 2 or 3 down there, and you got to do a great job execution. The field gets smaller. We call it the 12th defenders at end line, and so you just got to operate in a smaller area, and so you got to be efficient. But that'll be another situation that'll be huge in the game. Those 4-point plays where you're the kicking field goals or scoring touchdowns on both sides of the ball.
Rob Aller.
Similar to Clay's question, this rivalry's been heated for over 100 years. It's very intense, but there's always been respect among players, or between players, it seems like. Does that hold true for coaches? Do you respect Jim Harbaugh and his staff, or what's the feel there?
Yeah, I think, with everything going on and the things, that are out there, we've just kind of stayed away from all the distractions we have, and just focused on our team. And I think our guys have done a good job of it. I think, when you talk to our guys, I've talked to them a couple of times about, what's going on this season and going into the game. But, they're focused on this game. They're focused on this season. They're focused on their preparation. And we're just going to continue on that.
Coach, you give them a game plan, you work all week. On game day, how important is it, though, for them to go out there, play loose, play fast? What's the mission?
Yeah, that's it. It's our job to give them a good plan, let them go play, and then they can go out there and compete at the highest level, and that's what you want as a coach. So we got to have a good scheme. We got to do a great job with that, but at the same time, we got to allow them to go play. And that's what it comes down to in big games. And it's going to be 4 quarters. It's going to be a battle. And, the good news is, again, this is something we've been preparing for all year.
Adam King, WBNS.
Your emotion on the sideline, and we've seen it every now and then. We saw it at Georgia. We saw it after the Notre Dame game. How do you pick and choose those spots? And how much do you think your emotional, state kind of impacts the team getting them hyped up?
Yeah, I think you have to know your team. You have to know what's going on each week. Sometimes it just pours out. Other times, you feel like you got to give your guys a little something. But you also want consistency. The guys in the locker room know how competitive we all are and how competitive I am. But like you said, you have to keep your emotions in check, and that's going to be starting from the head down. It's got to start from me. We have to go in there and execute at a high level and handle the environment.
Going back to kind of what Dave was saying about the intensity of the game, that tunnel has turned into kind of a gladiator pit before. Have you had any talks about what you might do, how to handle that pregame to avoid something happening?
Yeah, we've had conversations already. They've been, folks have been talking about it here for a couple weeks and put some good plans together, again, to make sure that we can focus on what matters, and that's getting on the field and playing football.
Brandon Gulick, Buckeyes Now on Sports Illustrated.
Coach, you referenced the fact that you prepare for this game all the time. It's constantly part of your program. So how much do you reflect on your preparations for this game the week leading up to it in years past? Do things change? What's the vibe right now as you get ready for this game compared to where it was this week a year ago?
Yeah, I think you look at that in the offseason for sure. You just dive in. You try to identify, okay, let's talk about everything. Let's talk about the scheme. Let's talk about the preparation. Let's talk about, leading up to the game. Let's talk about all of those things. And then you try to identify, so what exactly happened in the game. And then you learn from there, and you grow from there, and you make adjustments from there. And then that's kind of how you shape your season. That's how you shape your off season. And then you learn about your team. You learn about, there's a lot of information that comes in during the season, and you grow from there, and you build from there. All in preparation for this one. So, you certainly look at all those things. But at this point, a lot of those decisions have been made.
Deep left, Katie Kapusta, Spectrum One.
Ryan, with so much changing next year, this game might not have as much on the line. I guess, what do you relish about an opportunity like this, and what will you miss about something like this type of game?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll be the case. I'm sure there'll always be just as much on the line when these two teams play. And certainly it'll be different, but I don't think it'll change anything just on the format. It's always going to be this way, and the format certainly will change next year, but I don't think the rivalry will ever be anything less than it is right now.
Andy Andrews, 11 Warriors.
This feels like the ultimate test for the offensive line in terms of the progression they've made over the course of the season. Just where's your confidence level at with that group right now, and what are you seeing from them in preparation?
Yeah, you're seeing improvement every week. You're seeing a group that works together. You're seeing progressions, individually and as a unit. And so, they're going to do a great job today of getting out there on a Tuesday practice and working at their craft and preparing to go play at a high level and then go compete for 4 quarters. But, like you said, week in and week out, we come in, we talk about the progress in different areas. I think you've seen it in that area. So, I think their confidence is as high as it's been all season.
Far left, Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros.
Coach, defense, how excited, your emotions, expectations after the last 2 seasons against Michigan are you to see that defense be on the field Saturday?
Yeah, no, it's, again, same thing. Just adjustments needed to be made. Not just this year, the year before as well. And so, here we are. Got to go put it on the field. But again, I think you're going to see a confident group going out there.
Right, I know you've mentioned the reference points that Kyle has, but what about his development from the start of this whole thing, the quarterback competition, to now? Gives you confidence that he's the guy outside?
Yeah, no, you see him executing plays, you see it in practice, and then it carries over to the field, and that's what you want. Now, ultimately, we got to take care of the football, win a game. That's the bottom line here. And the good news is he's got a great group around him, and he's been in these environments before. So a lot of things in his favor going into the game. But now he's got to go put it on the field.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
You guys have only been in a couple of really tight games. Michigan's been in one, really. How much of this game is a mystery to you? And that usually through 11 games, you have a pretty good feel of who you are, who they are. It's probably a little different. How much unknown is there in your mind?
I feel like we've been tested at different times this year. With the growth of the quarterback, we've been in games at halftime where we were winning. We've been in games where it's been close. We've been in games where we've been losing. So we've had to win games in the fourth quarter. We've had games where we've pulled away from teams. So I think we've learned a lot about this team. I think they're again a more mature and veteran team than in the past. Many of these guys have played in this game before. So, I feel like I have a good feel for who we are and who our identity is.
Doug Lamarice, Kings of the North.
You've always talked about needing to play your best football in November. Obviously, that applies even more to this game. And you've been talking about you have to learn from the past, right? But to get your guys to play their best game, like mentally and emotionally, right? That's what you can control. You play your best game on Saturday. What do you have to do as a coach and a staff to really do that? How much do coaches and coaching staffs influence that, or is it kind of up to the guys to do that? And how do you think in your time here, have you guys played your best games against Michigan on this final Saturday in November, or do you feel like maybe you haven't at times?
Well, I think you look at the routine. I think that's something you grab onto in big weeks. That's why you set routines. That's why we talk to our team about routines. And that's in big games, that's what you grab onto to make sure you stay on that routine, and it's a productive process to make sure you're covering everything you need to cover in terms of preparation. And again, we've had great opportunities to take a look and see how things have gone down, why they've gone down, and regroup every season and try to identify the things that we got to improve at. So. This has been a great group to build with. They're a great group to coach, and we're going to have another great week of practice right now, and I can't wait to see these guys play on Saturday.
Jeremy Birmingham, podcast.
Ryan, for all the success you guys have had here since you've been here, 2017, starting on the offensive coordinator and then taking over in 2019, there's only a handful of guys that were on that 2019 team that have beat this team. The tenor of the entire rivalry has changed in the last couple of years. You get the COVID year, which maybe threw a giant wrench into things. How different is this week feel for you now than it did when you started here? And do you think that it was a change that has been necessary for the guys in the building?
I don't know. I think it's a good question, but we take every year as it is and go from there. But there's guys with scars, and I'm one of them, and so it just drives you every day to work harder and to make sure you do everything you possibly can to win the game.
And final questions, Tim May Show.
You said questions or question? Ryan, obviously everybody knows 2 versus 3, undefeated collision. The ramifications of this game are enormous, the result. But how much...
I keep going, Tim?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to stress it. But how much freedom comes with knowing you're going into a game where really all that matters is the W, the win? Does it you've been in some of many
Sure.
of these. What does it kind of change about you?
Well, no, yeah, we say in those matchup games it could come down to one play, and we have to play those games that way. We've been in a couple of those this season. We talk about those games. Not that any game is any different, but it could come down to one play, and you got to be on your game, and you got to win the situations.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
Can you give any kind of injury update? Anything?
I don't, right?
Well, I appreciate you guys that did decide to come to be here today, as usual. Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families, for real. I do mean that. Looking back at the Michigan game, I thought our players came in dialed in. As I said after the game, obviously disappointed. Don't believe in moral victories at all. But I do feel like our guys were dialed in preparation for the game. Played with tremendous energy, played with tremendous effort. Our defense for the last couple of weeks, I think, have played well enough for us to win. On offense, we outscored their offense, but the turnovers. You don't win big games losing the turnover battle. And, losing that turnover battle 3-1 is costly. It's the part of our program development that we have got to get fixed. And we're doing everything we can and we'll continue to do everything we can to get that part fixed. We wanted that win for our seniors in the worst way, a breakthrough win, but there were some things that I feel we can take away from it that we can build off of as we head into the finale. With Rutgers, probably one of the most improved teams in the country, not just in the Big Ten. And I give a lot of credit to Greg and his staff and their program and those players for the work they're doing up there. I know it's hard. We're going through some of the same things, and we both came into the league at the same time. They started 6-2, and although they dropped 3 in a row, they faced 3 of the best defenses in the country the last 3 weeks, and they're extremely talented. They're running back number 5, their quarterback. When you look at them on defense, they don't give you anything. And I say this week in and week out, but this is one of those defenses that they don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't do a lot, but what they do really, really, really well. And it's a testament to how well coached they are and how they want to win. They want to win by winning the vertical field position game on special teams. And when you look at how they play special teams, they make a lot of plays, whether it's, the different array of kicks that their kicker can do in the kickoff game, fake punts, some exotic formations on their punt team. You can tell that they're doing things to create an advantage in the special teams, and we need to match that and do a better job this week in how we play in the special teams in the game. On offense, they try to shrink the game. They don't, run a bunch of plays. They're not a big tempo team. They want to run the football. They want to control the time of possession, and they're going to make you make the plays. They're not going to give you anything. And so really strong defensive team, and I know they'll be looking to send their seniors out the right way and win with their home field advantage. For us, it's all about finishing the right way and finding a way. You're usually judged, most books, movies, relationships, what you remember most is the end. And for this 2023 iteration of Maryland football family, this is the end of the regular season. And as you guys know, the bowl game to me is the start of next year. So this is the crescendo for us. This is us needing to find a way to win on the road. Huge difference between 7-5 and 6-6. And it definitely plays a huge role in where we go bowling. So still a lot to play for our team. We have a chance to guarantee a 3rd straight winning season, a winning record on the road this year, something we haven't done. And then most importantly, sending our seniors out the right way during their final regular season games wearing the Terps uniform. Our game captains this week, Sean Greeley, Corey Dyches, Tarheeb Steele, and Bo Braid. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Mike, Saturday is the final regular season game for Taulia Tagovailoa. Given everything that happened in the quarterback position before he got here, how important was him coming here and succeeding to what you've built so far?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said before, Leah has played an important role in the foundation. I mean, anybody that is a Terps supporter or fan like I have been my whole life knows that, you know, the quarterback position over the last 10, 15 years has not been a settled position here, whether it's injuries, whether it's transfers, it's just never been settled. And so to be able to have a guy that started 4 years here, has done some tremendous things in terms of laying a foundation for our program. You know, you can't put a value on what him coming here has done for us. Definitely elevated our program, or at least created a foundation that I think we will be able to build on. And even more importantly, has shown that, you know, if you're a quarterback in the country and you want to have an opportunity to do some really special things, you can come here, and this system is a system that is a quarterback-driven system on offense that, and we always have really good skills. So I think Leah has become a poster child for what we want to try to recruit, the type of quarterbacks we want to recruit. And, you know, we all know that if you have a quarterback, you have a chance. And we've had a quarterback around here for the last 4 years, and we'll miss his ability, but we're really happy for what he's been able to do for our program.
And with what Rutgers does defensively, what becomes more of a priority for Leah this Saturday?
Take care of the football. It's simple and plain. I mean, we take care of the football, we win games. When we lose that turnover battle and, you know, the explosive play battle, we won this weekend. I think it was 7-5 or 7-6 based on, you know, I think Michigan had 6 explosives in terms of runs and passes, and we had 7. But the turnover battle and those critical turnovers in some of these games have been costly. And, you know, to go win on the road up against Rutgers, we've got to take care of the football.
Coach, obviously there are some financial incentives for you with this game. Is that something you think about at all, hitting that 7th win for the?
Not at all. I mean, those things take. I would coach for free, and I have coached for free over the years. So, no, the financial incentives for me aren't important as it is for these kids. And anybody that knows me knows that these kids come first.
And then, are there any players who you know this will be their last Maryland game?
Yeah, the guys that we honored last week, our seniors.
That aren't going to be playing in the bowl game.
Oh, I haven't even approached any of those type of questions. I mean, we're worried about this game right now and trying to get number 7. Do you know of any not planning on playing?
Not yet.
Okay, all right. Let me know if you hear.
You talked about the similar struggles that Rutgers and Maryland have faced coming into the Big Ten. Can you elaborate on?
I didn't say the struggles we faced. I said we both came in at the same time, and it's hard.
Similar challenges.
Okay, better word.
What can you elaborate on what those challenges have been and how you've seen both programs navigate them?
You're a new kid on the block. I mean, you come in. You know, we've been a part of this league since 2014, like they have. It's not, you know, when you're new, you get the bottom of the scheduling is always tough. You know, it's hard. We both have similar challenges in that we're trying to grow programs against a conference that has quite a few teams that are what most of us would consider blue blood programs. And, you know, you go to travel to Nebraska and you see they had 395 straight sellouts. And, you know, as a coach, you look at that and think, man, they've had some lean years, but their support's still there. So we both faced similar challenges. We're in major metropolitan areas. Everybody comes and recruits in our backyards, and we're grinding to develop programs to compete for championships.
Coach, your teams.
What's up, man?
How you doing? Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Your teams have had a lot of success against Rutgers the last 2 years. The games haven't been particularly competitive, but you mentioned Rutgers being, you know, one of the most improved teams in the country. What is it about this year's Rutgers team that you feel like has taken that jump?
I mean, they've taken on the personality of Greg. I mean, they are tough, hard-nosed, really disciplined. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They know who they are. They know how they want to win. Their players have bought into all of the things, you know, whether it's, you know, shrinking the game, running the football, protecting the football. You know, that quarterback, he makes them go. They've got 2 good tailbacks. You know, their defensive front, like I said, they know who they want to be. They know what they want to run, and they create problems for you with some of the scheme things because they're not going to make mistakes and allow you to kind of create the big plays. They're going to make you drive the ball down the field and win the game. They're not going to give it to you.
Hi, Coach. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
What's up, David?
Hi. To follow up on Dave's question about Talia, his not having the record-breaking season that he had last year, how is obviously winning being most important to him? But is that something that he's like thought about? Is like, I'm not playing as well, or is it just the turnovers? And also,
you're asking me if that's what Leah's thinking, or you asking me if that's what
do you
I'm
guys
thinking?
talk about it? Like, are you saying it's not about how you played last year? What have you seen in terms of maybe his growth, despite the turnovers and not having the record-breaking and the explosive plays that we've seen in previous years?
Well, first and foremost, like all the turnovers haven't been Leah turnovers, so I'm not clumping turnovers. When I was asked the question of what Leah needs to do, well, as a quarterback, he needs to protect the ball, but we've had turnovers by receivers, we've had turnovers by, sack fumbles, things like that, so by no means am I putting the turnovers on Leah. And the things we talk about, I mean, he's a player, I'm a coach, we make corrections, but do I spend time talking about the negative things? No, I'll let you guys write that, man. I'm super positive with what we need to do. I'm a solution-based guy. I can point out the problems as well as you guys can, but unfortunately I've taken the road of, instead of continuing to point out what we haven't done, I'm gonna point out what we need to do and how we're gonna do it. And that's what leaders do. They kind of find ways to come up and lead and get us through the tough stretch and find a way to go win a tough game on the road. And that's what we'll do this week, is we'll put together a plan. Our players, as I've told you guys here, and hopefully you guys see it now, these guys, they fight, they compete. There's no quit in this team, and that's, to me, that's something that we can build upon. And our quarterback's the same way. He's a fighter. So I have no doubt in my mind that he wants to go out the right way, wants to find a way to get number 7. And I know that we'll do the necessary things throughout this week, even though it's Thanksgiving week, to prepare ourselves to go up and put our best foot forward on Saturday.
Mike, I know this is not your first rodeo, but what's the challenge of trying to prepare when you have a holiday right in the middle of the week?
Yeah, you still get the work done. I mean, like right now, the thing we've done is we're moving practices up a little bit because they don't have school now, and so that allows us to do more recovery on the back end. When you play the type of schedule we play in the Big Ten, and 9 regular season games against some of the best teams in the country, by the end of the year, you're a little banged up, and so we try to, moving practices up gives us more time on the back end for recovery. But the reps we take, the meetings we have, none of that changes because of the holiday. We just kind of, as coaches, it's a little tougher on us than it is the players, because the practice planning, when you move up practice 2 hours, now you lose 2 hours during the day that you typically can use for game planning. So now we're doing a little extra work in the evenings, which it is what it is. We've had to do it, and we've got a really good schedule of how to navigate Thanksgiving, and our players are used to it, so it hasn't been that big of a deal for us.
I also want to ask you about Kellen Wyatt. What have you seen in his development? Is this what you anticipated from him in his second year as a full-time starter?
Yeah, he's turning into one of those guys that I see that's going to be one of those leaders for our program. Coming out of the Spalding program, and we love recruiting Spalding. You look at some of the kids that we have in our program that are from there, and the job Kyle Schmidt's done building it. I think they just won the back-to-back MIAA championships, and a former Turk, Kyle, leading their program, and has built that program the way that I'd love to build this one. And so Kellen fits right in with some of that stuff. He's a tremendous competitor. He loves football. He's a football guy. We talk about guys that play the game the right way. He's one of those guys. But it's not surprising, because when you look at Spalding and the job Kyle has done down there with his program, it's not surprising why they win championships and why Kellen ends up being the type of player he's been for us.
Hey, Coach. I know you.
What's up, Ahmed?
What's going on, Coach? I know you kind of talked on just the defense a little bit, but obviously just with the defense playing against Blake Corum last week, and then obviously the 2 tailbacks that Rutgers has this week, what have you kind of seen the growth and development kind of from the run defense so far, and then what do you feel like maybe some of the things that you have to do to limit Rutgers?
Yeah, I think the big thing with our run defense is over the years, as you can see, when we walk out the tunnel, we've recruited size on the D-line. And to win in the Big Ten, you got to win in the trenches. And one of the Achilles heels for this season has been us on the offensive line. And that's the area where we've got the same improvements we made on the defensive line. You know, we lost 4 starters from a year ago. I think 2 of the 4 are playing in the NFL, and the 3rd should probably be playing in the NFL. But to me, I think our defensive line and our front 7 plays with a physicality that you need to play with in the Big Ten. To stop Rutgers' run game, we got to have another game like we had a week ago. Last week was our best tackling game of the year, and it was a physical game. When you watch the tape, it was a very physical game up front. Our guys did a really good job of being gap sound and really did a really good job of tackling in space and a bunch of hats to the ball, which didn't allow the ball to break last week. And it's going to take that same type of effort this week.
Mike, I think the biggest question this week is stuffing or dressing, fried or baked with the turkey. Is there an essential side that needs to be on Mike Locksley's plate this Thursday?
You know what, Dave? I'm going to go with the turkey, fried turkey, but I'm gonna make it a smoothie. I'm going to take it, I'm going to grind it up. Yeah, I'm going to add some almond milk. I'm going to take a little bit of like cinnamon and maybe some flax seeds. I'm going healthy. If you haven't noticed, Locks is on this healthy kick right now, man. Stress does this to you. I want to make sure I'm living, so I'm staying away from Thanksgiving. I'm going to boycott Thanksgiving this year.
Who do you give the smoothie to?
I'm gonna sip on it throughout the course of the day. And I love my crab stuffing, man. I haven't had it this year, so maybe get into some of the crab stuffing. Fried turkey for sure. Baked turkeys are dry as hell. Like I ain't into the baked turkey deal.
And in a year like this, where there were great expectations, there was the start, there were a couple pitfalls. What do you have to be thankful for with this program, with how things have developed?
I think for me, just having this opportunity, man, as I said here before, man, I was a fired head coach from, Ballou High School that got a chance to get into college football because of the coaches that were like father figures to me. The game of football has given Coach Locke so much that I could never repay it. And for me, anytime I get to pull up, regardless of the record, regardless of wins and losses, having an impact on 18 to 22-year-olds, that once was me. And I can tell you, if we had the internet when Coach Locks was coming up, I'd have been a list guy. I'd have been in trouble. Varun would be writing about me, all the negative things about Coach Locks, because I was one of them. And now look at me, standing up here and tricked them. I tricked you all. But no, I'm thankful to be the head coach here at Maryland. That to me is the most thankful piece for me. Varun, you had one question. Varun, he wanted to end it. You didn't want to let him ask this question. Let's get this one out the way. Let's hear this one, guys.
I wanted to ask about Donnell Brown. What's his impact been on the field and in the locker room?
No, Donnell has been a great addition. He's one of those guys that, as I've said, I like guys on the come up. So I like guys that have chips on their shoulders, that want to prove and show that they can play at the highest level of football. And there's no doubt in my mind, guys like Donnell Brown, Corey Bullock, the list goes on. I mean, who else we got over there? I'm leaving all. Jaquan Shepard. A lot of these guys that hadn't played at this level that we've brought in here that have added and bought in. Donnell has been great for our program, and excited that we hopefully have him for another year, unless you find out he's not playing in the bowl game or something. Keep me in the loop. All right. Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it.